So the learning paths through LinkedIn are free through March, 10 most in-demand jobs, and then also some other cool ones like how the heck you manage a job search now. You know, people like me, I searched for a job last time 20 years ago. It's way different now. What are the skills necessary to search for a job in a digital world? Microsoft, you're going to be seeing our Microsoft Learn site, and that is where all of the content and curriculum is free to everyone. If you want to learn the content for one of our certifications, it's there. There's no paywall. So I'll be showing you that site. And then GitHub has expanded into more of a friendly educational framework. There's actually now hands-on labs. I am not a GitHub girl. I am not a dev person, but the tutorials that are now there and the learning lab makes it really accessible if you're interested in developing some sort of app or anything of that sort. And so the goal is obviously to help a whole bunch of people and use our resources to do it. And it's a multi-pronged approach. Private sector, making sure that companies have the tools and the resources and the curriculum that they need. The public sector, I work in the public sector education world, making sure our community colleges and our universities have the content that they need. And then Microsoft specifically is partnering with nonprofits to assist people who might need a little bit more assistance, might not kind of know how to navigate our Microsoft Learn site. How the heck do you get a certification? You know, they're really shifting their entire career path. And so there's a lot of nonprofit work going on that Microsoft is supporting to help folks through that. So here is the skills initiative from a big giant viewpoint. The way I like to look at this slide, the data insights are important. The information that's going into LinkedIn is the information that we're working with in terms of employers posting that they need people in XYZ role. The nonprofits are going to help for the people who really are like at the starting point in terms of how do I shift? How do I start to look at different opportunities? Governments with whatever initiatives they have going on, state, local governments in terms of helping their local populations, and obviously employers making sure that folks continue to get skilled in their own organization. So that's kind of the outline and the overall thinking behind the initiative. But what's the nitty-gritty? The nitty-gritty is free access to learning content, learning paths, and in-demand roles. And what I'm talking about, and you'll see it, Microsoft Learn, any sort of Microsoft certification you want, the content is there, and the plans for that site are just astronomical. It will continue to build on a monthly basis. And of course, the LinkedIn Learning path specifically for non-certification programs, you know, like graphic designer, data analysis, that kind of stuff. And I'll be showing you those things too. We have certification. So if you are a person who's going to a career center, the career center or the nonprofit can actually partner with Microsoft and assist with the costs around certification exams. If you're an educational institution, you have a tremendous discount on certifications that you can assist your students with. And then obviously just the tools to help job seekers get hired. I'm going to show you in LinkedIn some of the really cool pieces. There's even an AI-powered engine that can help you interview. I won't show you my video, but I'll be showing you the AI results from it. You know, there's how do you get job coached if you don't know even where to find a job coach? Well, Microsoft is providing those resources. So I'm really kind of excited. I think you can tell I like talking about it because it's concrete stuff. I was a teacher for 10 years, supervisor of technology for 10 years. If it's not concrete, it doesn't work for me. So if you wind up going to that particular website, aka.ms is just a shorthand for Microsofties, but it'll get you to the job seekers page. It gives you an idea of the actual learning paths and how to get there. And you can go to a specific learning path depending on one of those particular items. During this presentation, you're going to see the graphic designer one, because like in another world, I would have some art talent and I would love to be a graphic designer. So if you haven't grabbed that URL yet, you know, take a picture with your phone if you need to. Don't worry, I'm going to be giving you this presentation in a different format that will get you exactly to these places. So what's important for what I'm going to show you is that LinkedIn's data set of the 10 most in-demand jobs comes from the thinking of, are there job openings now? Is there growth in that particular area? Does it pay a living wage? You shouldn't need a 4-year degree to go into any of these particular areas. And you can be skilled for those particular items online. You can start to get the skills you need right now. So the only real barrier is kind of thinking about, what do I want to do next? And the nice part is that all the learning paths are there. So if I got halfway through the graphic design one and said, this is not for me, let me pick something else, I've got that opportunity. So these are the 10 most in-demand jobs according to LinkedIn's data profile. And of course, that all comes down to employers posting on LinkedIn, and you have to look at the data set that's coming in. And so if I was a community college or I was a career center, this is definitely the piece of information I would put in front of my job seekers. You know, what speaks to you? Is there anything of interest? How can we start to work on some of those skills? These, of course, are really, really in demand. I mean, one of the best things, if you have any sort of technical literacy and you really want to skill up, getting skilled in any of the cloud providers will be almost an instant job at some point. So we kind of like to highlight the technology ones. Now, I kind of butchered this slide a little bit, but I wanted to take a picture of the Microsoft Learn site, which we're going to click into, because the content for these particular jobs and the 7 others that I also showed, it's right there. It's right there in Microsoft Learn. Public, available for everyone, and in a variety of different languages. Free today and into the future. The GitHub lab that I talked about, you know, I kind of dipped my toes in there, but I'm not a developer. But again, free today, free tomorrow. So while some of the LinkedIn stuff, I'm going to be showing you a slide that gives you the timelines for things. While some things have deadlines, GitHub and Microsoft Learn, they're here to stay for free. And so when we're thinking about IT certifications, and of course, this is a Microsoft presentation, so you're getting the Microsoft certifications. You know, if you walk into an employer or somebody on your staff has a certification versus someone who doesn't, that's just going to tell you A, their motivation, and B, their knowledge set. So all of these exams are in our kind of package, you know, through the end of, I think December, you're going to see it here, because we really want to encourage people to go ahead and get certified. And hey, I even passed the Azure Fundamentals exam. So if I can do it, anybody can do it, trust me. So through March 2021, free access to LinkedIn Learning Paths, soft skills, I'm going to be showing you all of that. Access to LinkedIn's free job search and networking tools. I would be absolutely taking a look, seeing what content is there, what could I reuse in my organization. There's a virtual feedback LinkedIn interview assistant. I'm going to show it to you. I think it's a lot of fun. And then moving forward, there's going to be some more information about how people can connect with industry mentors and why that's important. I was actually explaining to a 28-year-old the other day the importance of LinkedIn, because he was like, well, I don't even really know LinkedIn. I don't really know how to get jobs. I don't even know how to find jobs. And I said, well, you start to find people you're interested in on Twitter and LinkedIn. You start to follow them. You get to investigate different companies. And that's how you start to develop a network and really learn what you want to do. That's a different skill set than what is being taught in most, I know K-12 specifically. I'm not sure exactly how it's being taught in community colleges, but it's definitely a needed skill in the digital economy moving forward. And then if you are a nonprofit on this call and you are a career center and you want to learn more about Microsoft's initiative, I've got some paperwork I can send to you. That whole process is kind of like all set up with our CELA team. So if you're one of those folks, feel free, let me know. And then this is important. This is the overall mapping, or I should say the overall calendar of the initiative. They announced in June. The discounted exam registration opens. So if you're working with a nonprofit, if you're a job seeker, you're working with a nonprofit, obviously we had to group up with the nonprofits. So at that point, nonprofits will be able to help people go ahead and get certified at a discounted rate, because the certifications can be a little pricey, especially if you're going to take more than 1 or 2. And then the exam registration closes. So you have to say, I want to take an exam by December, and then the exams have to be taken by March. I will tell you right now, I studied for about 3 weeks for my Azure fundamentals, and you can say, Jill, you work for Microsoft. I'm like, yeah, but I don't really work in Azure every single day or every single week, to be candid with you. So I had to study. So a little bit of time can really give you some fantastic rewards. So it's 12:17. We're going to move on to the second half of the presentation, but I did want to check in with the group. Nick or Lindsay, are there any kind of major questions that have come up to this point that we should take any time to address?
No, Jill, I don't see anything so far.
Okay, all right. So people are noshing, people are having their lunch, it's all good. So what I did was I took the PowerPoint and I took the initiative, because if you get into the website, there's a lot of content. So what I did was I made the content into a Wakelet. I consider it my cheat sheet. Please feel free, either grab this URL or take a picture of the QR code, because that's going to get you directly to the Wakelet, which will have all of the important links. So let me click into that and show you why this is valuable. Actually, I had already kind of clicked into it. So, boom, let's do this. And I strongly encourage you, if you've got friends, I've got 2 friends right now who are kind of rethinking their world, to be candid. I also have a friend of mine whose youngest is starting to think about college, and I threw him this information. If you're looking at where you're going to start a career, you've got some thinking to do, because different industries are changing. So this is the Wakelet. It's about the initiative, and I gave you this nice little summary of the initiative, but I just did it to be polite. I know most people kind of start going right into the links. The skill link takes you directly to the LinkedIn learning, to the actual initiative. All of the stuff I wrote here, that takes you there. Now, this is the formal landing spot. There's a ton of content. I mention it because just in case you need it and you want to forward it on. This is the workforce insights from LinkedIn's economic graph. This is super interesting, especially if you're trying to explain to folks what opportunities are around and where. And so this is the area that I like to talk about. So I'm in data insights. I'm in explore the data. And when I click explore the data, you can search by date and by region who is hiring, who is making those hiring decisions. So I'm right outside of Philadelphia. Look at me trying to talk and type at the same time here. Philadelphia, and I'm going to select 90 days ending with July 2020. Okay. And I didn't even have to do anything. And boom, I can see who's hiring. Nobody is surprised with Amazon right now. Freedom Mortgage is kind of interesting, I guess, with everybody refinancing and things of that sort. That group has been hiring. You can see that medical places are almost always recession proofed. And you can go back and look at prior months. Let me go back into April. And of course, we're in the midst of the crisis in April. So it's interesting to see who's there. And then what you can do is continue to scroll down and see the top trending jobs. And remember, this is all data in and data out from LinkedIn. So if there's a particular element of your world that doesn't talk to LinkedIn, then that's not going to be recorded here. And this is very, very interesting. In the middle of the summer, teaching is one of the most important skills because school districts and universities are hiring. But look at some of the other items here. These are key words that if they are part of a person's skill set, he or she should be highlighting on a resume. So I think this report is super helpful for not only, hey, who are the people who have been hiring, what's getting hired, or I'm sorry, what positions are being filled is a better way to say it, and what skill sets are there, and do I have those skill sets, and how can those things kind of fit in? So I always like to show the workforce data. I think it's kind of an interesting site. I'm glad that they've made it open and available for everybody. Then if you are like, hey, it's next week and you're thinking, I need to review that skilling stuff that Jill talked about, this video does a really great job of condensing everything, kind of the same way that I'm condensing everything. This video does a really great job, literally telling you the stuff that you can get. So I really enjoyed Brad Smith from Microsoft did a great job doing an overview. Ryan does a great job of giving the specifics. So that's why I put that video in there. Now, this page right here, free learning paths for top jobs, that's actually this content right here. So what I like to do is talk about the learning paths for a digital workforce. how do you start to think about changing the way that you work? And I like this one, finding a job during challenging economic times, because it gives you, or it gives a person, specific resources. And I think anybody can use this right now. You know, this is in place of, I don't really know where to find a job coach. Boom, you've got it right here. I really like that one. And then I also really like the soft skills. What I've been doing with my K-12s and my universities is I've been saying, why don't you take a look at that soft skills class? Because soft skills are kind of tough to teach. So take a look at the content, see how LinkedIn is approaching it, see if there's anything you can work in with your existing curriculums. This content does go back beyond the paywall in March as of this time. So you want to look at what the ideas are, but you know, these are hard things to teach sometimes. So having any sort of help and guidance or a framework, I think is super, super helpful. And then these are good too. Video interview tips course. You know, there are people with this pandemic that for the first time had to get on a video chat. So all of a sudden, if you have to be interviewed, how do you do that? How should you look? You know, how important is the amount of energy that you give to the presentation? I think that's super helpful. Now, here's the most fun. I love this one. Let's see if this opens up. I have a pet peeve with one of my friends' kids. All he does is do like, and it just drives me nuts. Well, so here's a great example. We have this in PowerPoint. Oh, did it not keep it? Tell me about yourself. Wait a minute. Your answers. Here we go. Oh, did it not? Here we go. Let's see. This is what I wanted. Okay. So in PowerPoint, we actually have a PowerPoint presenter coach so that you can request feedback. You can, oh, here we go. So that you can actually get feedback on the pace of your presentation, on how many ums you have, on how many likes you have. If you say something like, hey guys, one too many times, like so many YouTubers out there. So I just did a little video this morning of tell me about yourself. And I put in a whole bunch of ums and a whole bunch of ohs, just so I could show you how cool this is. And I think this is really helpful for folks. I know when I was student teaching way back when the dinosaurs roamed, one of the best pieces of feedback I had was being videotaped and seeing how I interacted with students and what was coming out of my mouth. So I love this tool. I would be jumping all over this if I was in the classroom right now. I think it's fantastic, a great resource for your employees just to work on anybody's presenting skills. So feel free, get into that while that is available. And if you don't worry, if you're a Microsoft customer, you've got it in PowerPoint online. So don't worry if this goes away and you haven't gotten to it. The software is still around to just kind of highlight for you how to become a better presenter. And then here are the actual learning paths for the 10 most in-demand jobs. I said in another life, I would love to be a graphic designer. I'd actually love to be an interior designer, but it's a whole other story. So what this learning path looks like is, what's graphic design? What are the first steps? The introduction, 4 hours. They're really going to take the time to show you Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, so that you at least know what the software packages is and kind of the packages are, and kind of the mental gymnastics you might need to take to figure out which one you want to learn. So I like it. I mean, I actually was thinking of just taking this one, heck, just to work on my own newsletters and things of that sort. So I think there's something for everyone to at least get a taste for what the careers are and if it is something of interest. So I'll hold back on my graphic design thoughts right now, but boy, it'd be kind of interesting and fun. And then this is just information. If any of you are a nonprofit and you want to partner with Microsoft, or you already have, this is how Microsoft is trying to reach populations who might not have money at hand to go ahead and take the certifications at the regular certification pricing. So if people go to these nonprofits for assistance, they can also get assistance with the pricing for the certifications. And it's the same list as before, you know, primarily Microsoft. The GitHub Learning Lab, free now, free moving forward. I jumped in here the other day. It actually might prompt me to sign in. Let's see what happens when it says find your first course. And it literally is, yep, I kind of started, assign myself, start. It's literally a couple of videos. They want you to go ahead and do some stuff. It's very much a hands-on thing. I'm sorry I can't show you more of it. I'm not a dev girl, but boy, if you've got anybody who says, I want to build an app, send them right here, because there's an opportunity to get free training, and I love it. And it's not going away, so it's like, you don't have to make that decision right now. Now, this is what I'm personally super excited about. Students on Microsoft Learn, because I come from the education space, but students for Microsoft Learn, Browse All Paths for Students, is just a small part of Microsoft Learn. I just like to show this because you get a real sense of where Microsoft is thinking students have to be thinking for moving forward in the future with whatever their jobs are going to be. This one is really fun. Track wild polar bears with AI. Throw a bunch of pictures up, train a machine learning algorithm to determine whether something is an iceberg or it's a polar bear. You know, a really hands-on practical way for students to start to understand the concept of artificial intelligence and machine learning. You know, it's all just a lot of repetition and a whole lot of math. And if you want to get students interested, we're finding that young ladies, one of the best ways to get them interested in technology, bots. Creating bots that help other young ladies. There were a couple hackathon projects in Microsoft, and two of them that I remember, because you have to vote for the ones that you really like, and two of them were around bots helping young girls with bullying. So it's really an interesting way to kind of hook young ladies who sometimes don't necessarily get hooked on technology when, you know, they look at the cloud computing and things of that sort. So when I'm in Microsoft Learn for students, I can always just jump over to regular Microsoft Learn. And I shouldn't say regular Microsoft Learn, but you know what I mean, the basic general big site. And here's where you can create your own learning paths. You can get certified. And in these courses, and you will find that these courses will continually get updated. The AZ900 Azure Fundamental course that I took in here, 7 or 8 months ago, is completely updated at this point. So you're gonna find content moves pretty quickly in here. And so whatever you're interested in, or whatever your company needs to help skill up your organization, I would check in here first. And then lastly, oh, I'm doing well, 12:30. And then lastly, I just gave you the QR code. So this is this very same QR code that I gave you in the last slide of the presentation before. This takes you directly to this Wakelet. You're free to use the content. And I think the only other thing, just feel free to connect with me via LinkedIn. Oh, let me go back. Let me not do that. That will drive you nuts. Boom, boom. There you go. There's my QR code again. Feel free, go ahead, connect with me with LinkedIn, and I can do my best to direct you to additional resources and answer any questions you have. I tried to make this short and sweet. We're all kind of in the middle of lunch and we're all getting super, super tired of presentations. So if there's any questions, I'm still here. I just wanted to make sure you got the majority of the content quickly.
Well, thanks so much, Jill. That was fantastic. I appreciate it. If there's any Q&A for Jill, please go ahead and put it down in the Q&A chat box below. I don't see any so far, but we'll give it just a half a beat here. For those who are tuning in, this is recorded. We will be posting this in our archive on the website. So feel free to share that or to come back to it if you need to. Also, special thanks to SciComm for hosting not only this webinar, but the entire EdTech series, the conference that we did a few weeks ago, and a couple more sessions coming up here. So thanks to SciComm. If you're not aware of them, please check their link out. I put it in the chat box. If you'd like to connect with Jill, I also put Jill's LinkedIn profile in the chat box. Jill, I hope that's okay. So if you'd like to reach out to her, by all means, please do. And I do not see any Q&A popping up. So Jill, we will thank you very much for the presentation and the keynote today. And for those who are joining for the first time, we try to do these a couple times a week. So please check our calendar, and hopefully we'll see you next time on TIY, Tech It Yourself with RVA Tech. Thanks so much, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jill. I'll send you the recording.
Okay.